Hi everyone, Exeter Rider, I hope you're doing well. First of all, thanks a lot for coming along to the video. Really appreciate having you here. Now this week is a 125 class motorcycle. There's no more important class than 125s in the market, is there, when it comes to motorcycling, certainly in the UK and parts of Europe as well, because this capacity motorcycle is what gets people into bikes, isn't it? So this week it's the Lexmoto LXR SE. So very smart looking motorcycle. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to walk you around it and we'll see what the bike is like. Now first of all, as you can see there, it's a wonderful looking machine. Let's just turn the ignition off there before I drain the battery. It's a lovely looking bike. And most importantly, this bike is under £3,000 at the moment. I think it's around 2,950. It's got a few £100s off at the moment. So a very nice looking bike. Now I'm going to give you a warts and all review, as I always do with my reviews. I'm not going to dress it up. I'm going to say it as I believe it is. Okay, so don't expect me to sugarcoat anything. I think you know me well enough now not to do that. There's pros and cons with any bike, and that this bike is no exception. There's good bits and some bits which may not be so good, but overall, you know, first impressions when you look at the bike, it's a wonderful looking machine. Very smart indeed. Now, as we all know, this segment is going to mainly be for younger people who are just getting out on the road into motorcycling and want to get their CBT done, compulsory basic training. So that is where this bike is mainly going to sit, and that's the type of people that are going to buy it. I mean, as a young lad, you know, if you're 17 and wanting your first bike, not only is this going to be a bit more achievable to actually buy than some of the other 125 class motorcycles in the Japanese range, for example, but also you're going to get this bike and you're going to be able to go out to the garage and look at it and admire it. Because to be honest, even through all the bikes that I ride, I admire looking at this bike. I think it's a beautiful, it is nothing short of beautiful looking machine. It's really nice. The reason for that, I'm going to point out some parts which really stick out to me myself. Also, you can put what you like about the bike in the comments as well if you like. So first of all, we got the discs here, which are shaped really nicely. We have a very important aluminium swing arm there as well, which is good, because if a bike is going to rot anywhere or get rusty, then it's generally on the swing arm, isn't it? And also a stainless steel exhaust with a double barrel shotgun type of setup there, which looks really nice. In this case, because it's the SE model, we have a two-tone paint on the wheels. Is that a paint or is that no? It's a, don't know what that is. I think that's a wrap actually. Yeah, I think it's some sort of wrap there on the red. Either way, looks nice, and the rest of it is powder coated. In there we have a single monoshock, which is preload adjustable. One thing which will surprise you about this bike is surprising how well spec'd the bike is for being a 125. It's almost spec'd as high as what you'd expect on a Japanese 400, for example. What I mean by that is the upside down forks here, which is only on the SE model as well. But not only are they upside down forks, but also they are fully adjustable as well. So that's quite unusual for a 125 for sure. The front lights look very much sort of, well, a bit like a BMW S1000, isn't it? That sort of style, or a CBR Honda. Looks really nice as well. Even the brake lever is adjustable as well, which is quite unusual. Again, that's quite nicely spec'd there. And the seat is beautiful. A really nice leather seat, which is stitched together. Go away, fly. Which is stitched together really nicely, as you can see there. It's very smart. This is a matte finish. I believe that the SE models are only matte finish only anyway. To my knowledge, I think this is the only colour scheme that they do. in this range. But then again, you look at that and you think, well, why would you need any other colourway anyway? I mean, that looks quite nice. On the front, again, unusual for 125. Is it overkill? I don't know, but we have a dual disc there on either side, which is pretty impressive, isn't it? That's a very rare thing. The brakes are really good. It is combined braking, which normally I have a problem with, but to be honest, hasn't. I have locked up the rear wheel and the front hasn't even tried to lock up. They've set it up quite nicely so it doesn't lock up the front. So there's no ABS for that reason. What else have we got? I've got a really nice dash on this. This is just for the SE model. And we can change it as well to that style or that style there. So really nice, looks really, really good. Now this is a sports bike, so it is set up like a sports bike, and you are kind of hunched over the tank a bit, and there is quite a bit of weight on your wrists, which is fine. Would you carry a pillion on this? Probably not. Most people are going to be on L plates, aren't they, with this bike? So it's highly unlikely that that will be the case. You know, when I'm doing a review, it's not just about me and my stature, it's about other people as well. You might be shorter, taller, whatever, than me. So this is what I'm like when I'm sat on the bike. I'm 5'8". I've got a 30-inch inside leg measurement. Now, the bike itself feels substantial. You don't feel like you're on a 125. That's something they've done quite well on. They've mastered that on here. It's a big frame, it's a big bike with a small engine. When I've got my hands here, and as I say, I'm 5'8", 30-inch inside leg measurement, nearly flat foot in it, but not quite. There isn't too much weight up the top, but again, it is a bigger bike, so you do feel it's slightly heavier than a normal 125. Now with this review, I also have to remember that most of the things that I say, I'm speaking from being very experienced in trying different bikes. The odds are is that if you're 17, or maybe just wanting to do your CBT and looking at buying one of these bikes, that you won't have anything to compare it with. So take what I say with a pinch of salt. If you sit on one and like it, then you like it. So don't look too much into it, okay? That's important. As a 47-year-old bloke, years ago when I was in my teens, my late teens, I wouldn't have had a problem with this setup here. Now I'm 47, I don't want too much weight on my wrists, and I do feel that there is, of course, a bit of weight on my wrists because it is a sports bike at the end of the day. So that's all good there. You know, going down and getting a tuck in, obviously the screen is quite small there. You're not going to get any faster than 70 out of this bike anyway. We'll try that later. That's something I want to try in this review, is to do a top speed test. But you know, whether you get a tuck in or not, you're going to save 1 or 2 miles an hour maximum. So don't look into that too much. Most 125s go between 58 and 65 miles an hour. From my experience, I haven't had a bike which has gone faster than that. LED indicators and lights all the way around. We've got a lovely front end on it. The lights on that is superb, looks really nice. And as I say, it's just a really sexy looking bike. I think there's no doubt about that. You can't take that away from it. I'm going to get the elephant out of the room now. Now obviously this is a Chinese bike. I have looked into it a little bit. I know 2 people with LXRs, and my son, who's 17, has also got a friend. In fact, got 2 friends with Lexmoto. So it's a Chinese bike. You're not going to get the reliability, in my opinion. All right, I could be wrong. All right, I don't think you're going to get the reliability that you get from a Honda. There's no doubt about that. Honda smash reliability, don't they? Something that they're well known for. Same as Kawasaki and Suzuki, they both have bikes in the 125 class, but they are nearly twice the price of this, unless you go for the CB 125F, which I think is around 3,100, somewhere around there. Trying to find a Japanese second-hand bike for this sort of money is going to be quite difficult, because most people do just tend to buy a 125 because and sell it on sort of 2-3 years later, because it's a learner bike. You know, you do progress, things evolve, you go on to bigger bikes. So it's a catch-22, isn't it? You know, we get reliability from this, which seems, from my research, it seems okay. People have had problems, normally with coolant issues, and coolant Jubilee clip hoses coming off. That seems to be quite a common thing which keeps on popping up. What else? Electrical issues we've had as well. I found a few of them, and water getting into the electronics as well. Every time that's happened, there's always been a simple fix for the coolant, so that's not a problem there. The electronics seems to be something that keeps on popping up every now and then. It's so important, and this is the problem, because if you're a young person, young lad or lady, you've got to wrap your bike up at night. All right? You can't just leave it out in the rain and then complain that it's rusting or it's not working properly. All right, because you know, you just voided yourself, because you got to look after your bike and wrap these bikes up, and they deserve to be wrapped up well as well when they look as good as that. But even the people that have had issues with the Lexmoto, I've found, still love them. You know, they would have another one. And it's a common question, and I've been speaking to somebody today about his Lexmoto LXR. He's had coolant problems where it's leaking coolant, and he said he loves it. And he had a CB125F before this, and he said, although the Honda was a bit more bulletproof, he'd have this again over the CB125F. So that's going to differ between different people. You know, not everybody's going to have that opinion. Anyway, I think we've pretty much sorted that. Let's get out on the bike and have a ride. Right guys, we're going to address the top speed now of this 125. So I think you can see the speed over there. I'm pinned in 4th gear now, we'll change into 5th. The top speed of 125 is something that people always ask me. To the red line, 6th gear, 63 miles an hour. We are on a level surface. It's not like this is a... Okay, I'm getting impressed now. I wasn't expecting this to happen. So we're up to 68 miles an hour now, indicated. So that's probably more like 64 maybe, 63. Either way, not bad. To be honest, I thought I was only going to get about 58 out of this. I am pinned, I'm just under the red line there at 9,000 RPM. I've just hit 70, so again that's going to be about 65. I'm now overtaking 73. What's going on with this bike? So yeah, I mean 73 is impressive. I'm in 2nd lane, I'm confidently overtaking the lorries. I've got nothing left, I am fully pinned, but that's alright, it's not bad. Does the engine feel a little bit stressed? A tad, I would say. You can tell that you're in the red line. But I don't feel uncomfortable myself. The bike itself still handles really well. Out you go, mate. The bike itself still handles really well. Down to 63 if I open it up again. Well, I'm fully pinned again and it's just holding in there. So if you gauge that the top speed of the bike is 72, as I've just proved there, and but ironically before now I've only been able to get 58 out of it, so as the engine settles in it will gain more power. Not getting a huge amount of wind, it is a little bit buffety, but I think the mirrors do a lot. Visibility in the mirrors again for this type of work is surprisingly good. I don't have to move my head around too much to be able to gain a view. I'm just about to hit a slight uphill here, coming off at this junction. Still in the outside lane. I'm not really holding anyone up, but there is a car behind me, so let's get in. Still fully pinned, and it's impressive. It is. I wasn't expecting that. That's the truth of it. Sat on the motorway like this, how long would you want to do it for? For me, not very long, but again, if you're a new rider, you wouldn't really think twice about it. You'll just get on with it, because you're going to be a lot more flexible than me if you're under sort of 40 years old, shall we say. But again, visibility and handling it's not bad. It actually handles better at higher speeds than what it does around town, I would say. Certainly on the, you know, steering side of things. As with any 125, if you're up at the front of the lights, you've got to be careful that you can get away in time. Make yourself visible for a start. Most of the time, I think a lot of people will be riding these around in the city, or on the A roads. That's where they kind of sit, flat out here. Yeah, up to 30 there. I'm still quite visible on the bike. It's quite a substantial bike, as I say, and I'm sat on top of it, so they can see me coming along here. I made a bit of a cock up there. But yeah, so it's alright, you know, but like I say, you probably want to hold back away from the front of the lights, I would say, because sometimes, every now and then, you get an idiot that tries to race you, and if you've got an idiot on the left and right hand side, then they're going to probably beat you to it. So seating position and brakes, obviously we've got the combined braking on the rear, brake pedal there, which is great, actually. I have to say, it's actually really cool. Not that I'm normally a fan of combined braking, but they have done alright on this one, so that works quite well. Seating position, the seat itself is comfortable for about an hour and a half, and then it starts to dig in a little bit for me. It's slightly sloped forward, is the way I'd describe it. Manoeuvrability, again, is really quite good on this bike. It does handle pretty well, really, all things considered. I'm not too hunched up on my knees either, in a sporty kind of manner. It just feels okay. Like, that chap's moved over for me as well, kindly. It's nice of him, thank you. Filtering wise, the widest part of the mirrors, and I can see them easily. It's not like I have to hold back my head to see how wide the bike is. Again, there's a bit of weight on my wrists, which is what you'd expect, which does become a little bit labouring around town. For me, you know, for you, again, for you young people, you'll probably be absolutely fine. But it's just something that I'm aware of myself. Let's get past this fan, and that one there. So overall, you know, it's like all 125s, they're actually really quite good at getting around city traffic and alike. They're well suited to it, they hold their speed well, and you feel like you can actually ride the bike in town. You know, here I am in 5th gear now at 28 miles an hour. So it's a very engaging type of riding on a 125 in the city. So it does alright, it doesn't do bad. Open her up a minute. Very up to the 40 mile an hour speed limit. And up ahead I've got national speed limit, so 4th gear, 7,000 revs, open up again, fully pinned. 5th gear. It's a bit up and down here, so have I got 6th gear? 6th gear there we go. 6th gear almost loses itself a bit. It's almost like an overdrive type of setup there. So there isn't a lot of power in 6th gear, but for doing this type of road, it's actually really nice. You could have a lot of fun actually on roads like this. As I say, you're only going to get up to around 60 miles an hour anyway, so you know, don't look into it too much, just enjoy the ride. It's lovely. As you can tell, I've had this bike for about a week now. If I'd done this review like in a day or something, then I probably wouldn't have clicked with it so well. But to be honest, although it's got its issues and I wouldn't buy one myself because I've kind of done all that side of things in my biking life, I totally get why people enjoy these bikes. Yes, it's not as reliable as many of the others, in my opinion. I could be wrong, as I said again. Yes, the suspension's a little bit rocky, a little bit hard, but then again, it is adjustable on the front, so... But, you know, there's a lot to be said for it. For the money that you pay, certainly. You could get a lot of ownership pride out of this bike, I think. For sure. So for B-road riding and, you know, just learning the craft of cutting up your curves, it's a great bike to start on, I would say. You know, even if you're a bit older in life, you know, it's still a good bike to have if you can tolerate the comfort levels of it. And again, you know, the braking's good on it. It's not got ABS because it's got link brakes, which might concern me a little bit, you know, if it was my lad going on this bike, but at the same time, it's not that bad. I don't know what the tyres are like. It's been dry since I've had the bike. Oh, I'm going a bit fast. It's been dry since I've had the bike, so not much to say there. But I would say that they are quite narrow, so I would say that you'd want to take it a little bit easier in the wet for sure, because you know, you don't want any washouts to you on the front or the rear. So I don't have a, you know, the tyres have yet to prove themselves to me in wet conditions. That's what I'm trying to say, because I don't want people buying this bike and then going out and out in damp conditions and then losing the bike because the tyres are not holding in. So yeah, it's not too bad, is it? Well, I'll catch you back in the city again. Right, so let's settle the final thoughts then on the Lexmoto LXR SE. I've enjoyed it. I enjoy the bike more than what I did when I first got on it. I didn't. It takes some time to gel with it, but when you gel, you know, once you have gelled with it, I can see why people like them so much now. Now, as I say, as a new rider, a 17-year-old rider, you know, it's a heck of a bike to look at. It's a good one to show off to your mates of what you ride. On second gear there. Long term, who knows? I mean, obviously with it being a budget bike, you do tend to find that they do depreciate quite a lot, so that's something to bear in mind, whereas perhaps some of the other brands, Hondas, etc., they don't depreciate so much. They actually hold their value, if anything. But for the looks of the bike and the spec and the way it rides, it's definitely a good price. Now, would you go for this, or would you go for a second-hand Japanese bike? Well, finding a second-hand Japanese bike is incredibly difficult. That's one of the issues that you're going to be up against there. So, you know, that's something to consider. But there's no right or wrong, I don't think, really. I think, you know, to get a bike this good looking as a young person, I think you're on a winner, really. We're quite lucky that they do make bikes like this that are accessible for the younger audience and for people to get into biking, because not everyone can afford a £5,000 or £6,000 Japanese bike, can they? you know, whether that's Suzuki, Kawasaki, or Honda make one for 3,300, somewhere around there, but it's not particularly exciting to look at. Done it again, wrong gear, come on. So there's a bit to weigh up. I did ask my son, he's very eager to get into the world of biking. He's 17 now, wants to do a CBT at the moment, and he's hands down all over this bike. He loves this bike over anything else. So, you know, purely because of the looks of it. You know, obviously I'm looking at it from an experienced, practical side of things, but he looks at things different than what I do. So yeah, it's a lot to weigh up. So I just want to say thanks very much for watching. If you could like the video, that's a big help to me. I've had this bike for a week now, shortly going back. So thanks to Lexmoto for lending me the bike for that amount of time. Do appreciate it. I do like the product, I like the spec, I like the dash, I like the way it looks, and I think it has a huge amount to offer people getting into biking. There's no doubt about that. You know, they're on the right track there, so I do like that element of it. And yeah, I guess if you haven't subscribed as well, do hit the subscribe button and click the bell as well. It'll be cool. And I've got some more 125 stuff coming up in the near future. So thanks very much for watching, and I will see you on the next ride. Thanks guys, cheerio.